there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Sylver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Sylver.
It's Marshall Sylver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Hello there and welcome to Marshall Sylver Live. I want to go on record as stating I do not have a 6 handicap. I suck at golf. You won't need an interpreter, though, to interpret what I'm saying. It'll be very clear what I'm saying. And then ultimately, there's no drugs in my system to wear off. That said, glad you're here. It's interesting to me that, when you do something live, it's different. You're not able to edit and go back and change things. You just go with the flow. The country is abuzz right now. Obviously, we had the presidential debate last night, and anybody with a clear mind, a sane mind, got a chance to see both candidates in what I consider to be their natural form. And I think that's what the debate is supposed to be. That's the point. You get to see people getting tripped up. You get to see people making mistakes. You get to see people revealing themselves. And I don't know about you. I think the truth always reveals itself. And I also think, yes, it sets us free. What do I mean by that? That when you know the truth, whether you like it or not, you can then choose the truth. The truth is we live in a remarkable world. We have lots of opportunities, and your life is indeed blessed. The question is, are you utilizing those opportunities properly? On today's show, we've got a very special guest, Chase Insogna. Mr. Insogna is a seasoned expert in tax planning and financial management, over 2 decades of experience in the field as the founder and president of Insogna CPA, based in Austin, Texas, one of my favorite cities, actually. Chase has dedicated his career to helping business owners, particularly in the e-commerce sector, navigate complex tax strategies and issues and grow their wealth. His innovative strategies and engaging insights have transformed the financial futures of numerous clients. Chase is passionate about entrepreneurship, wealth building, leveraging tax laws for business growth. In addition to his professional achievements, Chase is committed to educating others and sharing his knowledge through podcasts, public speaking engagements, and more. He's an expert on points and miles and how to utilize them to get the most out of your money. He is also very insightful on how to make sure you keep more of your hard-earned moolah in your pocket. Please, with a nice big Marshall Sylver Live welcome to the show, Chase Insogna. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So how much did I butcher your name?
Oh, that was perfect.
Good. You're in Austin. I got a comment on the shirt right off the bat. You're billing my viewers, right? You're not billing me. Just want to be clear on this.
Everyone's getting an invoice. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So you guys expect to get a bill. By the way, I'll let you know what kind of a split we should do here, and we'll go from there. So glad to have you on the show. Welcome home, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Never been on. This is my first live show, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, live is different as people discovered last night. Well, last night wasn't even live. Last night was a 2-minute delay, and we're not delayed. So if you drop an F bomb, it's on you. If you get completely confused, it's on you. By the way, what is your golf handicap?
I don't have one.
Yeah, mine is a
But
slice. That's my handicap. I slice really badly.
yeah, me too. I just hit it and it goes somewhere. That's my golf handicap.
Yeah, my whole idea of golf is 4 hours in a cart, just chatting with a friend and having some fun, and I could care less where I hit the ball.
Yeah, first time I picked up a club in like 4 years was in Vegas a couple weeks ago. Did
Where did you
did pretty
play?
decent at Paiute.
Yep.
And very beautiful course on the mountain course. And we had it was a great time. But I just like being out in nature and just looking at the views to be honest, and hanging out with some cool people to golf with. So I don't get competitive on the golf. I hit it. I lose a couple dozen balls in 18 holes. It's all good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, that's me. I always make sure that I have 2 balls per hole, and then I'll get through the round. I'll be just fine. So we're all good. So let's dive in. You are a CPA. Let's talk about what's the distinction of a CPA versus a bookkeeper.
Yeah, so we're always promoting, to work with licensed individuals. As a licensed CPA, the reason for that is to have reciprocity, and if anything ever goes wrong, you have a state board, to at least have a resource to go to. No CPA in general wants to lose their license. They spent a lifetime getting it, so if the board's responding to them, then they have to respond back in 30 days and get up to par with it, with whatever the request is. So, that's something all CPAs try to avoid, and we certainly don't want to be in that situation. So that's why we're promoting the license, because people, business owners, individuals getting their taxes done have a resource to go to when the CPA or the tax person goes silent, your bookkeeper goes silent. You can't get your data back. You can't get prior returns to get a mortgage. All those different nuances of not being licensed and just being out on the interwebs of promoting your services. There's no recourse to those people. So we're always trying to promote working with a licensed professional, and making sure you have that recourse.
Here in Texas, obviously it's a tax-free state. I live in Nevada, and I love Nevada. We love Las Vegas. We also like the beach, and there's no real beach in Nevada, in Las Vegas at least. And so we have a guest. We have a vacation home in San Diego. Is that why you're in Texas?
I mean, I was born and raised here, so it's where I born and raised in Houston, and now live in Austin for since '98. So it's where I call home. But
What's your forte? Obviously CPAs are CPAs, but you've got some specific things you like working on. What's your expertise?
yeah, so I started my company in 2011. It's set up as a business here, so the name is singular, Insomnia, but we really work as a team of 20 plus people today. I have a tax team and an accounting team. We have in-house controller team, and so we're really looking for our ideal client as business owners under 30 million is a kind of general number. 1 to 3 owners in that business is our bread and butter is what we work with, and we continue to utilize technology. We're always trying to be on the forefront of efficiency in accounting and in finances in general, and just trying to make our clients as efficient as we are in the back office of finance and accounting. And then being proactive with taxes and tax planning. So a lot of the conversation we get is poor communication, and then also just not being proactive with them. They never hear from them. They email their person and they don't get back for weeks or months. So our team's responding every 1 to 3 business days. With our monthly clients, we're proactively looking at their numbers every month. The larger clients we're meeting with on a weekly basis, but weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, we're formally checking in depending on the size of their business, how often they want to hear from us. And in those engagements, we're doing a bit of like business coaching, kind of proactive advisory on just the business itself, and the operations, and then tax planning. So what does it look like towards year end? So you don't get to March or April the following year and your person's like, oh, well, you should have done this last year. And that's usually a conversation. So making sure we're on track for year end is what we do here. And so we really approach it as more of like, um, you know, as if it's our own business. We put a lot of care into our thought and how we're approaching it. That's how I started out here. Started my own business in 2011. I had a bookkeeper helping me, but I didn't pay myself for 2 years. And so I went through all these trials and tribulations of owning my own business. And so I just put myself in the shoes of the business owners we work with, and have taught my team to do the same thing. And so that's really the care we're bringing. Like, we care about your business and how you want to succeed, and then how you want to grow it. Is it a lifestyle business? Are you looking to exit and sell it out in a few years? Like, there's different projections of how we should approach things, but in general, that's how we operate here and what we're looking for.
What are some innovative tax strategies, some things that viewers watching the show right now might be able to implement that they don't realize they could implement?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned you have a lot of real estate people. I have 15 rentals myself, a couple international. So a lot of times, people that get into property, especially if it's a fourplex, or small commercial properties, is just doing a cost segregation and fast tracking depreciation. A lot of the clients we talk to don't even know what that means, so it's something to be aware of. And that's just one thing in conversation with clients, that as we go through the questions and like, what is your business, what are you into, or existing clients, what are they getting into, having those conversations, just making sure we're being proactive with it. A lot of clients aren't aware of like R&D credits, that they even qualify for R&D. So, I mean, we don't do R&D in-house. We refer it to a third-party specialist, but we're at least identifying with our clients and their activity what they're doing, and if it's necessary. So we want to be on the forefront of that conversation, because it takes 2, 3-ish months to get that done, and then having their taxes filed on time, and then also plugging that deduction into current income. Because if we're doing it, let's just say today, and we're for formulating those deductions for 2024, which is when we're talking right now, um, that also affects tax planning for year end. It can affect your reasonable salary if you're an S corp. It can affect your profitability from a tax perspective, and how that affects your personal taxes. So we want to be on the forefront of those conversations in the very beginning, so we can properly plan for that too.
How many clients do you have?
We have a couple thousand clients we work with annually on taxes. We work with several hundreds of clients monthly on accounting and just ongoing transactional bookkeeping work.
And are most of your clients geographically close to you, or do you have clients all over the country? What's the
Yeah,
scoop?
yeah, good question. Before the pandemic, it was, we want a local CPA. We've kind of gotten back to that now, in conversations recently, but we work with anybody. I mean, we have clients all across the country. I would say our concentration is Texas for sure, just because we've been here a long time and I'm from here. And but our team is all across the country. We're just looking for the best talent, and who pieces we can add to the board here for internally, but also our clients, several, 10, 15% maybe is across the country. With our technology and, the way we approach advising clients and video and paperless, like, it really doesn't matter where you're at for us. We're doing the same for a New Jersey client as we are a Texas client. And then, you got a house in California, so our second largest state filing is California, because there are a lot of people move here from California. Third largest is New York,
Gosh,
so
I wonder why.
yeah. So we file in all 50 states, and we have clients with properties all over the country, so it's not a big deal for us. And my tax team, understands how to file in all the states, but California and New York are second and third largest, respectively.
In your intro, it talked about the fact that you focus a bit on e-commerce type individuals. Is there a reason for that? Are you an e-commerce person? Obviously, as a real estate investor, you've got some other ventures going on, which is not usual for a CPA. Obviously, People that do well in CPA do well, but my experience has been most people that have the personality of a CPA, it's not the same personality as an entrepreneur. It's just the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
And so when you find a CPA that's entrepreneurial, then you got a world class athlete on your hands. What do you do specifically inside the e-commerce sector that is beneficial to those types of businesses?
Yeah, great question. So, we've just kind of been working with ecom for a long time. I mean, since 2011, my first few clients were ecom. Before ecom was like what it is today. I mean, almost everybody's in ecom these days. Um, you know, but we've just been working with it for a long time. And then today, with today's technology, and like we have a virtual dashboard that we customize, we really get into analyzing data. Our larger ecom clients we do weekly conversations with, we're drilling down kind of operationally into the data that's being sold, and then putting that into a dashboard to have a conversation around it. For example, what items you sold, pulling that information from Amazon, for example, and in a spreadsheet. And then we're summarizing that spreadsheet by state, by city, and so using that data and by product, and then seeing what product sold in which city for you to then on your own website, if you're also selling it like one of our clients does, Amazon website, using that data to then put that marketing towards those products in those cities in PPC paid ads with Google for your own website, as well as Amazon. Like what it may be, we've discovered like some of our clients sell a lot of different products, top 10 on Amazon versus top 10 on their own website. So don't advertise the same top 10 on each one, because you're not selling the same. So we dig into the data more and more kind of operational type conversation when we're having those, we're formalizing the data. But that's an example that we do with ecom, and we're not just pulling in the numbers from your bank and credit card and sending you a financial P&L and L and balance sheet. That's the proactiveness we talk about with our clients and our in-house controller team, and forecasting that data. When should you restock, based off sales previously, and forecasting this year, especially going into Q4, in your top 20 products, like what are you anticipating to sell, on average historically. So that's what we're getting into daily, weekly, monthly here.
I remember the first time I made over $1 million. That first time I had to write a seven-figure check to the IRS, and I remember I
That's a
went
lot of fun, isn't
to.
it?
No, it wasn't
Isn't it
fun.
it's like a huge gut punch, when you got to
No,
write
it
that
was a
check.
huge gut punch, and I went to my bookkeeper. He wasn't even a CPA because I was early in my career, and I was just using a bookkeeper. And I knew how much he was making because we were not really friends, but we were friendly. And so he was making at the time, this is decades ago. He's making $50,000 a year, which at that time was a good amount of money. And that year I made, I don't know, 2.5 million, had $1 million tax liability to California and also to federal. And I was just, my jaw dropped when he told me, yeah, you got to write this check. And I went, what the heck? And like, I'm in shock. But I said to him, how in the world can I never write a seven-figure check to the IRS ever again? And his answer was pivotal to me. What he said was, well, don't earn so much money. I fired him on the spot. I said, you're an idiot. That wasn't the answer I was looking for, and clearly not an intelligent answer coming from the guy that's handling my finances. But the thing that I thought, I got a CPA right after that. And the thing I've always thought about CPAs is people don't realize if you have a CPA, whether you think you do or not, you have an intimate relationship with that person. They are in your stuff. They're up inside your spreadsheets. They know your bank account. You can't pose. You can't lie. They know the real deal. And so I always, from the time when I became a hypnotist and started making big bucks around 25, I've always thought that I would like to become a CPA just to have that much financial data on all these other companies. But the other thing I thought about, because I come from a training background, is I don't know why these CPAs don't have full-fledged business development, business coaching, uh, companies, why they don't make more money with their coaching and business development side than they do on their CPA side. All of that was a thought in my head. And then one day I met a guy named Brad Sugars. Do you know who Brad is?
No, I don't.
So Brad Sugars was a CPA down in Australia. And a long time ago, I don't even remember when it was founded, he launched a company called Action Coach. And he saw that same thing. He said, I'm coaching, I'm doing the books for all these companies, and I know how to make their companies more successful. But because I'm the CPA, they kind of listen to me. If all I did was put the moniker business coach above my head, he said they would listen more. So he launched Action Coach, massively successful. Last I checked, they had around 1,200 franchisees, people that were paying, $2,000 a month and a percentage of their sales back to him. And he never went back to being a CPA. And so I've often thought that that's the play for any CPA, is to also offer up business and consulting and coaching services above and beyond just tax advice. Because
Mhm.
you know the numbers, you just described it. You said we've got an e-commerce person and they don't even pay attention to what is selling the most or where it's being sold the most. All the factors going into the idea that if they just promoted more of this particular product to this particular audience, they would eliminate a large portion of their ad spend, a large portion of all those other marketing expenses that go into making that sale final. And so if there was anybody that should be able to advise people on their business, not just their taxes, but on their business, it's a CPA. What's your thoughts on that? And do you offer any other services? You said you have how many current clients, including tax clients?
Yeah, we do several hundreds of clients monthly, um, from a transactional accounting tax perspective. A couple thousand tax clients annually.
Yeah, so the tax clients annually, I'm assuming some of them are are either 1099 or they're taxed employees. And the people you see on a monthly basis, I'm guessing, are all business owners.
Correct.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that, on non-traditional revenue for a CPA type like yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with it. It's not something I would say we do well promoting ourselves today, which we're working on from a marketing perspective. But that's how people described me when I was out networking prior to the pandemic and locally. Because they knew what we were doing and how, they had worked with us possibly. And they were like, yeah, you're more of like a business coach. And I never even thought of it that way. But that's just how I approached it, because I'm entrepreneurial, as you mentioned. Like I've started as a business, not a lifestyle like most CPAs do. And so I obviously had different businesses that I've gone through before I even started the CPA firm. So I've always been entrepreneurial since college. But I just put myself in the customer's shoes and ask myself, what would I do if I were in their shoes? Financially, operationally, marketing. Like I just kind of go through the list of advising, and I just give them ideas. Give them like my thoughts on it. Maybe it's something they haven't thought of before, whether we're charging for it or not. I mean, we're a little bit different because people would come in my office pre-pandemic, and they would meet with us, and usually they'll go into a CPA office and like, well, you could have did this, and you could have did that, and never really get an answer. Everybody that came in my office, they had like a list. Here's 3 to 10 things to take with you. Take it or not. I don't know. This is what you should do, in my opinion. If I were owning this business or whatever you're into, these are the steps: formation, accounting wise, tax wise, whatever it may be, operationally. This is my thoughts. And so I just kind of, that's how I've approached it. And so that's how I taught my team to approach it. And that's how we, educate new people that we onboard to really just help clients that are with us and approach it from that perspective. So that's the value we're offering. So we don't really market it well today, but we're working on that, and we'll get there. Working with the marketing team now, but that's what we've done since day one, and that's what
Good.
I was doing by myself, and that's what my team does today. And I think we do really well, and that's our differentiator, what sets us apart. But the difference between a business coach just in general, somebody like a lot of these YouTube videos and TikTok, they're giving this tax advice. But and a lot of it's gray area stuff, and some of it's truthful, some of it's a little bit, far out. The problem with that is, our clients come to us like, yeah, I just watched this video. Why aren't we doing this? Well, our name's on that tax return too. And we're legally responsible if we have our name on your tax return filing it for you as much as you have your name filing it. And so we're not going to put our name on something that raises a red flag with the IRS or risk an audit with the IRS. Certainly, we play in the gray area because I own multiple businesses too. I mean, that's just been my philosophy. So we're not ultra conservative, but we're not ultra risky, and we're not going to, take this idea that somebody spat out there on TikTok because they think you can do it, because their name's not on your return. So when you get audited or the IRS comes asking questions, they don't care. You're now responsible for what you learned on TikTok and put on your return. And what are you going to tell the IRS? Oh, well, this TikTok video told me I could do it. So there's no recourse there. So there's kind of a fine balance. Obviously you can come to us with these ideas, but we're going to say yes or no because our professional liability is on the line too, and we don't want the IRS at our door either.
Do you think that that is part of the criteria of how people select their CPA, of how much the CPA firm is willing to go to bat for them?
I think it's part of it. I mean, every CPA is different. They're all different approaches. I just kind of mentioned what we do in the middle, but um, you know, sometimes it's a personality fit. If they want to be ultra aggressive, we've had these clients, and we just tell them we can't prepare this return for you, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to risk our professional liability and my business because you want to be ultra risky on your return. It's just not worth it for us. So go find somebody else that wants to take that risk. And we're talking, significant dollar risk, and just flat out isn't even in the IRS code to follow and have a defense against, with the IRS if they ever come knocking. So we just don't do it. We just don't work with it. It's not worth it to us.
One of the concepts that we teach, because I am in the business coaching and personal development business, one of the things that we tell people is ultimately, if you're making a presentation, if you're making an offer, you want to figure out a way that the ultimate outcome is that your services are free. And that's the other reason that I really like the CPA industry in general. So there's Brad Sugars, and then there's a guy named Carl Bryan. Are you familiar with Carl Bryan?
No, I'm not.
So Carl Bryan was another guy, and I think he's from New Zealand, maybe Australia, also coincidentally, that was also a CPA that also started a coaching company.
Maybe I should move
And
to Australia. They seem to be from Australia.
yeah, nobody wants to live in Australia because they have no gun law. The gun laws are you can't have guns, and so they move they move to North America. Who knows? At any rate, the point is he created an entire coaching business around the idea that his coaches, the people that he's coached to be coaches, can go into a business, sit down with them, and say, "I can find you an additional $50,000 worth of business within 10 minutes. If you'll let me, take a look at your numbers, I can show you where the money is, and that'll be without spending another dollar in advertising or marketing. So, are you interested in hearing that?" And then they go in and they play with KPIs and metrics and say, if you just did 2% better in conversion, if each ticket, that you sell was only 10% larger, at the end of the day, you'd end up with this 100% increase. And all valid data, except the ultimate thing about how they're interpreting the data is the end of the pitch where they say, hey, here's how you save 50,000, here's how you make an additional 100,000, whatever it is. And then the question is, you can either implement this on your own, or we can assist you in implementing this. Which would you like? And it's like I said, for a CPA to be able to come and say, we have CPA services, they are X. We'd also like to give you coaching services, because ultimately you should be asking the question, will my CPA not just save me money? Are they smart enough to actually make me money? And that's the distinction. most people's CPAs, my personal experience included, most people's CPAs are on the other end of that spectrum. They're not in
Pretty
the gray.
active.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not in the middle. They're extremely conservative. Why? Because they don't want to get audited. And so ultimately, that portion of playing it safe is what makes me not choose a CPA. I want a CPA that's going to take risks on my behalf, but I want them to be smart enough. They're not actually risks. But somebody that was proactive, like you just said, somebody that was proactive and said, "Hey, Marshall, it's the end of the year. In 3 months, you're going to end up with $1 million liability. If you don't want to give the government this money, you better give that money to, I don't know, somebody selling a jet or office equipment or real estate expenditures, anything that we can put against your bottom line for this year, because
Mhm.
you're going to spend the money one way or the other. You need to spend it on something you can keep."
Yeah.
So that is my thought. If you have 200 business owners, and your range is around 1 to 3 owners, $30 million a year, $10 to $30 million a year in income, those are target rich environments that, in my opinion, that is the purpose of a business, is to say, what else can we sell them? How else can we serve these clients? And any CPA firm that's not actively selling, not just advising as a part of their CPA, services. If there's somebody not actively selling additional business coaching and direction services, I think they're kind of missing the boat. So, do you charge extra, or is that all included inside of your CPA services?
Um, yeah, we price a little bit differently, but to answer your question, yes, we're charging for it. It just depends on how much they are needing from us. But for our monthly clients, we're pricing in how often we're checking with them formally with our controller team and having those proactive conversations. We do a Q4 tax analysis, as you mentioned, like 3 months to the end of the year, and seeing what needs to be done from a tax perspective. But yes, we are pricing that in, so to speak, in our monthly pricing.
But I mean, even a little further, right? You are, the name of your business is a CPA firm, correct?
Yeah,
Insogna
CPA.
CPA.
Hmm.
My belief is that right off the bat, to manage expectation, if it also added and business consulting, that right off the bat, now they're looking at you as someone different. And in the advertising, all things being equal, CPA, 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 and business consulting. Wow, I want it all in one, one stop shopping. And since most CPAs are doing that already, I think it's kind of funny that they don't actually advertise, "We are not CPAs." I mean, yeah, that's what we do and we're certified, except what we're here to do is flat out make you money. We're not here just to do your taxes. Anybody can do your taxes for much cheaper, by the way. Except ultimately, our services, while more expensive, are free because we make them free by finding you money that's already yours that you're not paying attention to and looking at. Talk to me about miles and points. And obviously, that's something we were talking pre-show before we launched the live show. You were, I could see the look on your face. You were happy about that. You were excited about that. It was fun for you to do that, and I would agree. I've spent millions and millions of dollars on credit cards, and I don't pay any attention to all of that. And I guarantee, if I had, it's a lot of found money. So talk about it to me. How do people set it up? What kind of money is actually there in points and miles? I can't qualify for miles because I don't fly commercially anymore, but I certainly could qualify for points and probably should be. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, you can get miles. You just gotta have the right credit cards, and you're transferring, et cetera. But so kind of back
Well,
up,
the challenge with miles on a jet, private jet, is, yeah,
I
you
was
could
gonna-
get
yeah,
points using a credit card, but the challenge is they charge you an extra 4% if you use a credit card and don't wire the
yeah,
money.
that's true. But commercially, if you're going international on, business first class, you can certainly, charge the right cards and transfer points. But kind of a quick history. I got into it just organically by myself. I mean, I don't remember the website, but it was like literally a spreadsheet on a website this person like had out back in the mid 2000s. And so I found it one day and just kind of followed it, and I would sign up for how I got started was like a Chase checking account. I think they were giving like 10 or 15,000 continental miles at the time. And then I read in the T's and C's that you could do it every 6 months. So, I would close it after 6 months, reopen a new one. The banker was like points and miles too, so she was helpful. Plus, she got the credit, and so that's how I kind of got started. And then I would, I've gone through the iterations. I did the whole coin thing that people read, in the New York Times. That story. I was doing the
What story is
coins
that?
with the U.S. Mint, where you could buy dollar coins with credit card, no fee, get it delivered to your house, and then you would just go deposit it at your bank. FYI, a box of $500 coins is very heavy. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but so you'd buy coins, you would deposit it, you pay the credit card, you get the points. And then there was these prepaid cards through like I think it was an Amex checking account. So I've kind of done these iterations. Nowadays, there's not really like a lot of those products, but there's a lot of credit card signups. I don't really sign up unless it's like a huge bonus these days. But so that's kind of the history of it. I've been doing it for a long time, and I love travel. That's what I love to do. And when I do it, I like flying business first class. Staying at five-star hotels. So we're going on vacation this year to Spain, for example. And, I might spend 2 grand total for a 2-week vacation, flying business class. Staying at 500, $1,000 night hotels on points because I'm using points and miles and know where to transfer to, and how to book the tickets correctly to get the most value out of it. So, because I love travel, that's what I focus on. But other clients, that aren't as passionate about travel, it's really just charging. I mean, you're already charging the expenses on your card as a business owner. So what I try to educate my clients about is using the right cards and benefiting yourself in a points atmosphere that will benefit you to what you want to use them for. Cash back, travel, transferring to airlines and hotels, buying stuff, which isn't a great value, but you can do it. So, for example, the Chase portals, where I always start people off with, using the Chase Inc. Chase Inc. card, Chase Inc. Unlimited for business. You get 1.5 points per dollar on all charges, and then pairing that with, because it's a cashback card, pairing that with a personal like Chase Sapphire card, so you can then transfer those points as cashback into Chase Ultimate Reward points to be more valuable in transferring to travel partners. So the Chase is where I like to start. They have business personal cards, and then just focus on that portal, learn how to transfer them properly to They have the best transfer partners overall. Second one's probably Amex, a little bit more limited in transfer partners. They don't do cash back. And then you've got Capital One and Citi, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. So those four are, where to focus on. But businesses are already spending the money. So everything I spend, I don't buy a stick of gum without a credit card. I don't carry cash. I don't pay cash for anything. So everything, is charged to a card, and I utilize it to travel the world, really.
What are some quick things people can do? Obviously, you live in Texas. I live in Nevada. California has at my bracket about a 13% state tax on income. What are some things besides picking up and moving to a better state can people do immediately to start keeping more of their hard-earned money in their pockets?
That's a good
Do
question.
they pay their wives a salary or their husbands? Do they pay their kids? Uh, do they make sure that all of the major purchases they make are in the name of their business, or what can I do?
Well, I mean, if you're paying your family and you're living in California, for example, I mean, there's no way around it because it's still coming down to California taxes.
Right.
Maybe a different tax rate. You can play around there if you're filing separately, or your kids are adults and they're filing separately. Um, but a state like California is quite difficult to avoid state income tax, because at some point it's flowing down to the state itself and getting paid. Even if you're a C corp, you know you could potentially in high tax states like California and New York, you can, benefit from a bit lower tax rate in a C corp, even when you're transferring that money as a payroll or dividends to yourself. So it's something to look at in high tax states that we consider with those clients. But um, in general, like loan outs for the entertainment industry, operating as an S corp, eventually it's still flowing down, and then from there it's tax planning before it gets to the state level, like with a qualified plan or defined benefit plan or something. You're just putting it away for a rainy day and retirement. Um, or you're doing like Shaq. He talks about he had a C corp. He paid his parents. I mean, it makes sense for him because he was in a huge, very high tax rate. So for him to pay his parents out of a C corp, yeah, it makes sense with your advertising monies to do that because he's transferring cash that he would have gave his parents at his high tax rate, paying them, paying 15.3% on that money, payroll tax wise, and then transferring to his parents at a lower tax rate wherever they live at. So, that my client sent me that video and I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense, because he's in California. You're not, so, just different, obviously different people and different scenarios have different connotations to tax planning, but we kind of look at the full spectrum and determine what's best for them.
What do you think? How old are you?
45.
What do you think are some of the basic personality traits of people that succeed and do well versus people that don't in business?
One is I think having the right resources around you. We're always promoting to as a business owner, as a athletes that we work with, as entertainment people we work with. Having a team around you that's not related to each other. For example, athletes and entertainment, they have their manager and they're referring people that they are related to, likely getting commissions usually. We're promoting to have your own circle of influence where your CPA is unrelated to your attorney, unrelated to your manager, unrelated to your insurance person, financial advisor. Like none of these are profiting from each other's relationships, and building that team together. That I don't. I mean, I know enough about marketing, but I'm not an expert at marketing. So I have a team of people that help me with marketing, for example. I don't know everything about legal. I have a attorney, I work with when I, need those resources, insurance, et cetera, financial advising. And, you know, don't personally manage my own portfolio, so I don't necessarily trust all those. But so for just get the right team around you, and make sure they're not financially benefiting from the referrals they're making. I put in every single email that I refer, we do not financially benefit from this referral. So we don't expect kickbacks. We're not getting anything out of it. We just refer the best resources we think that in that conversation makes sense, and then you go talk to them yourself, and see if it's the right fit for you. But that would be my advice as a business owner. I think a lot of people try to cut corners. Obviously, I mean, like I said, I started out, I didn't pay myself for 2 years. I understand, there's that hump to get over. But business owners that cut corners, the average business owner is 5 years or less. If you look at stats. So how do you get over that hump? You've got to have the right resources. The most successful business owners have people in place to help them go forward and be successful. And so if you're, obviously CPA, if you're trying to cut corners and file your own business and personal taxes, I mean, is that really worth your time versus taking that same amount of time and resource into your own business and growing it, and focusing on where you make money at? That's how I look at my own time. Like, is it worth, spending this amount of time, or should I go hire somebody or find a resource to do it for me where I can focus my attention on growing and building, a better business here. Um, that's how I think you become successful.
What are your thoughts on cryptocurrency?
uh, Good question. My own personal thought,
Yeah.
I'm not into it. I mean, we have clients that have made a lot of money in it. I'm just not. It's just not my thing. I personally, I mean, 50% say otherwise, but I don't. There's not an underlying business behind it, like you would in a stock that you invest in. There's an underlying business making money. My investment philosophy is dividends. I want to be paid on my cash. So for me, it doesn't make like crypto doesn't work for me. There's no business underlying it that says it makes money. The only way it goes up is for more people to buy Bitcoin. And
Right.
the only way it goes down is for when people sell Bitcoin. There's no underlying like actual business model generating income to inflate the price like you would find in the stock market. So for my CPA philosophy, like I don't invest in it personally.
Well, I agree 100% with you. And there's one more element that people don't consider. And anybody making money with crypto, don't bother listening to us. If you're making money, God bless. You're the one. Um, but as far as crypto goes, the other challenge is it's worse than a fiat currency. And most people say, "Oh yeah, it's on the blockchain. The government can't this, the government can't that." And Garrett, I know for a fact I have some friends that had launched poker sites back when online poker was the rage. And then, the feds came along and outlawed online poker. Why? Because all the casinos in Vegas were lobbying that they should be the only ones that have online casinos. That all makes sense. But the challenge is cryptocurrency is, like you said, there's nothing behind it. It's fiat, which means there's no basis of the value other than how it's being traded. And yeah, if everybody buys it, price goes up. Everybody doesn't buy it, price goes down. Or everybody sells it, price goes way down. And the
And
challenge, though,
another piece of it is the platforms too, because I had money in USDC on a couple platforms that went south,
yeah.
and these platforms were public companies that my money just disappeared and was supposed to be a quote stable coin, where they ended up doing nefarious activity, and I lost a good chunk of change that I would like to get back. But that I think there's also the coin itself, but there's also where you're buying the coin. I mean, if you get in the whole cold wallet stuff, I don't have time for that. But people that are successful with the cold wallet, it's fine. Good for you, as you mentioned. But for me, I mean, I thought I was investing in a Fidelity or Schwab platform because it was a legitimate public company, and come to find out it wasn't. So I think it's just kind of been the Wild West, and until like even Fidelity, you can't buy USDC on Fidelity, a stable coin. So I'm going to trust, net going forward, the brokers who are kind of the trusted ones in America, E-Trade and Schwab and all of them that have been around a long time. If they're now getting into it and they're trusting to hold it on their platform correctly and not lend it out to third parties that are spending it nefariously, then certainly. But I think that's where a lot of people have gotten in trouble, like myself, where we trusted these platforms we thought they were holding it for us and they weren't.
Well, then people will point out on cryptocurrency. Well, you got people like Jamie Dimon of Chase. The Chase is buying Bitcoin now, so that proves that it's legit. And I always tell them, no, that proves they know what the sheep are doing. They know exactly where everybody's going. So I guarantee you, if they're buying, if they're right now buying any kind of cryptocurrency, you should be selling everything because they're going to be next week. And they're going to drive it up. They're going to be a market mover. They're going to move the market, and then they're going to sell it out from underneath everybody else. Well, everybody else is excited. I also am fascinated. You take somebody like Samuel Bankman Fried. Bankman Fried. Doesn't that tell you everything? His name just said everything. Bankman Fried. So we're gonna rob all the money from the banks, and then we're gonna fry them. That's what he did. And people, point to stuff like that and say, well, that makes it legitimate. But here's my challenge. All it takes is one pen for the government to decertify and make illegal any kind of cryptocurrency that they don't issue. And I think that's where it's going, is I think that the government is about to, probably in the next term, whoever the president is, they're probably going to outlaw cryptocurrency. They can't outlaw it altogether, much like they can't outlaw online gaming altogether, but they can outlaw it in the United States. They can outlaw it in their borders. And I think that's what's going to happen is they're going to say all cryptocurrencies are outlawed inside of the United States. You cannot use them here. You cannot trade them here. You cannot, if you're a US citizen and we find you're holding them, we'll confiscate them. My belief is that's what they're going to do. And they're going to promote their own cryptocurrency so that they keep the money intact. What do you think about that?
Well, what you last said, the last sentence, was what I, in my opinion, where I think governments are going, because they want to track every dollar you spend and hold, which is why we continue to have these foreign filing requirements, especially when you have money and assets overseas. So, I think the technology is going to where the United States, for example, will have its own digital coin. First, like we have a physical dollar, we'll have a digital dollar at some point, and then everybody is forced to use the digital dollar. You'll trade a digital US dollar for a digital European, dollar, for example, because countries want to control their own currency. So it's never going to be one Bitcoin for the world, because each country wants to control their own money. So I think every country will have its own digital. That's where the technology will come into play. And then they'll be able to track every single transaction like you see in futuristic movies. They know where you are, where you're spending at every single moment. I mean, that's the
It's social
direction we've been
credits.
heading in for a while, and I think that's where
Yeah,
it's
China's
going.
already there. It's social credits. You jaywalk, you get dinged. You say something about the government that's not in alignment with their narrative, they ding you. They take some money out of your account. People say, "Oh, that could never happen. That's criminal." Are you brand new? Did you just wake up? I had over $20,000 in a PayPal account that was strictly for buying stuff that didn't accept credit cards. So it just sat there. I bought stuff, I put deposits inside of it. One day I go to buy something and it tells me I've got no money in the account. And I'm thinking the wife must have spent 20K. I go to the account and PayPal cleared my account. They said I went against their terms and services. Well, that's one thing to tell me you can't trade here anymore, take your money and go away. It's another thing to clear out my whole account, which is what they did. They took $20,000 from my account and claimed it was against their terms and services. I obviously I said, "What the heck? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything." They said, your account's under review. We'll tell you in 6 months." What the heck? You're going to hold my money for 6 months and then tell me at the end of 6 months, guess what they told me? Yep, you went against our terms and conditions, and the fine was the amount in your account. I do some research. Come to find out, they've done this to hundreds of thousands of people with no recourse. Nobody's gone after PayPal. And that was so now I said, I'll never use PayPal again. They're thieves. That's what they're doing. Most people don't realize you have cryptocurrency, especially government issued cryptocurrency. I'm sorry, you don't have it anymore. They just press a button and it's gone. That's the challenge. Buy silver, buy gold, hide it at your house, bury it in your backyard. Because at the end of the day, as things start to unfurl, which last night's debate was the turning point of things unfurling, guaranteed. That's what last night was. That they're going to start coming after the cash. They're going to devalue the cash even more than they already have. And they're going to, people don't know this, and most people don't remember history. America, the United States, Roosevelt, I believe, Roosevelt criminalized the holding of gold. And so if you had gold, you had to turn it into the government years and years ago. And that's what they're going to do it again. They're going to make it illegal to hold precious metals. They're going to come and confiscate it unless somebody gets into office that has a smarter outlook on our finances and our economy and makes it better. Hey, before we wrap up, thanks so much for being on the show. You've been awesome. Any last things you want to say to the audience, and how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it today, and you know, always recommend, whoever you're working with, make sure you find a licensed CPA in your sphere of influence, to help you with your business and taxes. But if you want to reach out to us, feel free. My team is always here to pick up the phone and talk to you. You can head to us on our website. It's insognacpa.com, INSOGNA CPA.com. And our phone number's on our website. Give us a call, shoot us a contact via our form on the website, and we'd be happy to reach out to you and have a conversation. See if we're the right fit, see if we can help you. That's really at the end of the day what we're here for, is to help people.
Awesome. Chase, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again.
Hey, by the way, do you said you were just in Vegas. Do you get to Vegas very often?
2 or 3 times a year. Yeah.
Good. We hold an event about every other month, either in Vegas or in Southern California, because I don't like to travel. It's called Turning Point, and it's filled up with entrepreneurs and investors, clients that you would have. More than that, though, tickets are $3,000 a piece. I'd like to give you and your guest a pair of tickets, $6,000 value. All you got to do, call the office at 1-800-92-POWER and tell them you were a guest on the show. And then I invited you to come to Turning Point. Love to have you there. I love how your brain works. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much.
You bet, brother. Have an awesome day.
You too.
Bye for now. Great show. Great day. Yeah, my head's still reeling from last night. My head's still reeling from the debate. Fascinating time. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. I had a dinner meeting, so I watched about 15 minutes, just enough for Biden to mumble something and Trump to look over where Biden was standing, look back at the camera and say, I have no idea what he just said, which nobody did. And so last night was pivotal because a lot of truths got revealed. When they announced the debate was happening this early, I said, it's never been held this early. Something is up. They're doing something. And I think what happened last night, mark my words, you heard it on the show, and I'm not the only one saying it, so probably not the first time you heard it today, they're going to replace Biden. They're saying they're not going to, but here's my prediction. What's going to happen is in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, they're going to say, Joe has decided he's given enough for the country. Over 50 years of service to his country, remarkable term as president. Best thing he could do is go out on top. And Joe has decided, and we don't fault him for it. He's decided he wants to spend more time with his family. Apparently, he heard there were some young children moving into his neighborhood. Yeah, I said it out loud. The thing that I want you to keep in mind is it's just optics. None of it's real. And how do you exist inside of a world where things seem chaotic? Keep your own head on straight. Be clear on what's really going on. Never get angry at the game, and recognize the best way that you can win is to play the game on the game's terms. That's all I'm going to say. As we wrap up this program, I want to remind you, we are on hiatus during the month of July. There'll be no broadcasts through the month of July. And the reason is we got a brand new building. We've got a 31,000 square foot building we're moving into, building out studio money. We're very excited about that venue, and we're excited about having you there. So Turning Point next month. If you are amongst the first 3 people who call 1-800-92-POWER, I've got 2 tickets worth $3,000 a piece for you to join me at Turning Point in Las Vegas. Don't take the tickets unless you're going to be there. It's coming up the 16th through the 18th. We've also got Crusher's event teaching you how to speak and sell from the platform coming up next month in Los Angeles at a live event where you'll see me not only teach you how to crush it from the stage, you'll actually watch me at another event crushing it from the stage. That's a cool thing to watch. We've got an Inner Circle event happening at Prosperity Palace. Looking very much forward to that. We love our Inner Circle events. And then finally, we've got a Prosperity Alliance 2-day event coming up here in Carlsbad, also in July. Love to see you at any of those events. I'm Marshall Sylver. You are totally loved. Until we chat in August, God bless. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.